All right, welcome back to session 3. Back again from this day forward. Mike and Michelle Metcalf with you. I'm having a great time. You having a great time?
I'm having a fun time.
Yeah, a lot of fun. So we're going to get into session 3. Last session, we really talked about fighting fair and the importance of fighting fair. And we hope that you have, well, I don't know if I hope you had practice, but I hope that you're putting into practice what you learned in fighting fair.
Hopefully one fight didn't lead to more fighting.
Yeah.
But anyway, now we're getting into the best part, which is having fun. And sometimes that comes after fighting fair.
Yeah.
If you fought fair, you get to have fun.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So we're going to hear from Craig, and he's going to tell us 3 ways that we can have fun together as a couple. And you know, the thing about it is that that's one of our things. We have a lot of fun. I mean, like, you're my best friend.
Thank you. You're my best friend. Some people feel like it's a luxury or it's at the bottom of your list, but it really should be a priority to keep a healthy marriage.
You know what?
Healthy relationship.
I remember we took a trip to New York City. You remember going to New York?
Yes.
And in that weekend, like, I was traveling, but on the weekend, I got to bring her along, and so I brought her in on a plane, and we actually did all the transportation that weekend.
We did,
Planes,
because
trains.
I flew into Connecticut, and then we took the train into Manhattan, and we rode taxis and subways and ferries. And
You
it was
got
a
to
lot of
see
fun.
a Broadway show.
Yes,
You really
I
enjoyed
like
that.
The theater.
And so we had a lot of fun, and here's the best, though. We ate New York City hot dogs.
Yes.
Like, that was the only food we
That
ever
was like
had.
the first thing we grabbed, and then we ate them all weekend.
All night.
Those
So,
steamy buns.
and we're going to talk about some steamy buns up in here a little bit later. All about having fun. And Craig is going to discuss with us 3 different ways that you can have fun. But here's the deal. We've talked to you about some of our fun experiences, our New York trip eating hot dogs. So now we want you to share one of your fun experiences and talk about it, and talk about how that fun experience, having fun together, has impacted your relationship. So talk about it. Okay, well, we hope you've had fun talking about ways you've had fun in the past. It'd be a lot of fun. And so here's the deal. We're getting ready to jump into Craig's teaching, as he teaches us 3 ways that couples should have fun. So let's check it out.
Fun is not a luxury in marriage. You may say, but we don't have time for fun. I would say you don't have time not to have fun. If you don't have some fun in your marriage, one day you may not have a marriage. So today what I want to do is give you 3 types of fun that every couple must have. And just for the record, I happen to think that these 3 points are really, really fun. And if you disagree and say they're cheesy, I will say, but you will remember them. And so they're very effective. Let's look at them. The first type of fun every married couple must enjoy is what I call face-to-face fun. Everybody say face-to-face fun? Face-to-face. That's where we get together, enjoy each other's company face-to-face. Because so often in dating, couples can talk and talk and talk for hours on end. They get on the phone and they talk, they text back, talk for hours and hours. I've even heard of couples that talk until like 2 in the morning, and then when they run out of things to say, they just sit there and listen to each other breathe on the phone. Okay, not heavily, just at an appropriate breathing rate. Just wanted to say for the record, okay? They talk, and then when they get married, all this face-to-face time ends up being business time. Who's going to get the kids, and you got to get him to soccer, and you got to get her to dance, and you got to, we got to get the oil change on the car, and oh my gosh, we're out of milk again, and it's the air conditioner broke down, and it's all this other type of communication, and it's not face-to-face, and it's not intimate, and it's not working. It's not working. We need to guard that face-to-face time. What I want to do is show you 3 different portions of Scripture between Solomon and the Shulamite woman in the book of Song of Solomon, and we'll see how their relationship progressed because of these different types of fun. This first one illustrates face-to-face fun. It's in chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. And watch as Solomon compliments her, starting at the feet, and romantically works his way up her entire body until he's looking her in her eyes, and she is totally his. Watch this. He says, "How beautiful your sandaled feet, O prince's daughter. Your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of a craftsman's hands." This guy is good. Watch him. "Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine." I don't understand that part, but I'm sure it worked for her. Your waist is a mound of wheat encircled by lilies." Verse 3, "Your breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle." Evidently, he's really excited that there are two of them, and he's like, they're twins, and they're both there. Now, just for the record, I've got about 14 really funny things that I'd love to say right now. But because I'm maturing in the things of God, I will not say them to you now. But if we see each other later, I'll tell you when no one else is listening, because they're funny. Because on your breast, they're like, twins, yes, two of them. And then he says, "Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are the pool of Heshbon by the gate of Bath Rabim." What is he doing? He is talking to her intimately, face to face. And what is he doing? He's giving her details. Men, say details. Men like headlines. Women like what? Women like details. They want to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about things that you don't care about, and go on and on. And it's very important to them, because your relationship works best when you have intimate, ongoing conversation. You must guard it and you must protect it, because if you do not, life will squeeze the intimacy out of your face-to-face fun. It happens to all of us. In fact, for years, if you've been with me in our church for years, I talked forever about the importance of having a date night. Date night, date night, date night, date night, date night. And for years, Amy and I faithfully, almost every week, had a date night where we would connect intimately and emotionally face to face. Well, then, after having 6 kids and the church becoming more complicated with moving parts, we just agreed that, hey, we've got a great marriage. Let's just have fun with our kids and not have the date night face to face. We're just too busy for that at this season of life. Well, we had no idea how much that seemingly innocent decision would actually cost us. It was months later that we saw this same thing happening over again each week at Life Group. We'd be at Life Group, and Amy would say something about what she was going through or what she felt, and I would be like, "I didn't know that. I mean, this is a big deal, and I didn't know." And then the same thing would happen on the flip side. I would say, "Well, here's what I'm really praying about, and here's what I'm facing that's burdened me." And Amy would be like, "I didn't know that. Well, you're just now telling me at Life Group?" And what we realized is we had surrendered one of the most important things to our marriage, that intimate face-to-face time. You have to create it, and you have to guard it. You have to do it, or your marriage will suffer. And let me just say, for the record, driving your kids to their activity, sitting together talking while watching a show, or talking while you're both playing with your cell phones does not count. We're talking about consistent, guarded, faithful, face-to-face time. Take a weekend getaway, do whatever, where you invest that time face-to-face and have some face-to-face fun. The second thing we need is what I call side-to-side fun. Everybody say side-to-side. Say it again, side-to-side. This is where you're hanging out with your best friend. You're doing something you enjoy with your wife or your husband. It's enjoying time doing common activities. Verse 11 of chapter 7, the text says, "Come, my lover, let's go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages." In other words, let's have a weekend getaway. Let's have someone take care of the kids. Let's leave the house. Let's go away and just have some fun together. Now, just as women typically crave the face-to-face time, men generally crave more side-to-side time. It's a time where just hanging out, doing something they enjoy with their wife, for some reason, it just makes a man feel valued. It's fun, and he sees you as his very best friend, and it's an incredibly bonding experience for both, especially for the man. I like what one guy said. He said, I always like to be by my wife's side, and I always hold her hand. He said, I do it for two reasons. Number one, because I love her. Number two, because if I let go, she goes shopping. I always hold her hand. 3 types of fun that every married couple must have. Let's say them aloud. What is the first type? It's face to face. What is the second type? Side to side. You ready for the third one? It's belly button to belly button. Write that down and somebody say amen. Little belly button to belly button. Is that clever or what? You'll remember that. All right, let me break this belly button to belly button down. Verse 11 and 12 of chapter 7. Watch this. The Shulamite woman says to Solomon, she says, come, my lover, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded. I'm getting to the fun part. If their blossoms have opened and if their pomegranates are in bloom. And then what does she say? Somebody help me out. She says, there I will give you my love. What did she say? Translated into modern day language, she said, hey, let's go have sex in the park. That's what she said. That's what she said. Now, don't go have sex in the park or you will get arrested unless you can find a really private place. And here she said, let's have some belly button to belly button. Let's have some physical and romantic fun. You say, does God like that? Oh, yes, he does. If you don't believe me, look at God's word, Proverbs 5, 18 through 20. This is a great verse. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. Be married 30, 40 years. Enjoy this woman that you married when you were young. A loving doe, a graceful deer. Watch this. May her breasts satisfy you always. This is the word of God. May he add his blessings to the reading of his word. Some of you aren't smiling. I don't know what's wrong with you. This is good stuff. This is God's word. May her breasts satisfy you always. And may you be what? Say this aloud. May you be captivated. May you ever be captivated by her love. The Hebrew word translated as captivated is the word shagah. Everybody say shagah. You have to say it like that with attitude. It doesn't work if you say shagah, okay? It's shagah. This word in the Hebrew language is the same word used when an animal would attack and kill another animal and eat the animal. May your love be like that. Shagah. This is good, right? Now, let me give you some advice about this because I believe that one of the best things you can do for your marriage is have some physical and intimate fun. So let me give some advice to the men and the women. Men, first of all, work on your approach. Vary your approach. Get creative in your approach. Be tender in your approach. Quit just doing the same approach every day. Hey, you want some of this, don't you? I know you do. Check this out. Don't get out of the shower, walk around like, hey, all that kind of stuff. Work on your approach. Romance, conversation, bring a gift home, listen, rub her feet, work on your approach. Because ladies, you all know, every husband can make everything sexual. She says, can you make me a bowl of cereal? It's like, sure thing, I'll make you a bowl of cereal. Give me a spoon, I'll stir you up. We got to get the oil changed. I'll change your oil. Work on your approach. Be loving, be tender. Ladies, my advice for you, make an approach. Any approach. Make an approach. You want some of this? Just listen to me. Get a little romantic. Listen, ladies, whatever you've got, it looks better in silk than in flannel. Take that old thing, throw it away. Get some lingerie. Go on a date. Play some music. Draw a bath. Give a back rub. Put on some Marvin Gaye and say, let's get it on. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are going, we don't have time for all that. We got little kids. Well, you go and put on a Dora the Explorer CD. Run into the bedroom. Lock the door. Say, quick, we've got 30 minutes. Go, Diego, go. Have some fun. Have some fun. Have some fun. Ladies, generally speaking, we all agree, not always, and I understand that, but generally speaking, most men desire physical intimacy more often than most women. Agreed? Agreed? This is yes? Let me say it again because you're looking at me like you don't agree. Generally speaking, most men desire physical intimacy more often than most women. Agreed? Yes, most often, okay? Ladies, you need to understand in marriage, this is so important. When you turn off the faucet and things go dry, this is a crisis for a man. It's the equivalent of the emotional distress that you would face when there's silence and there's no emotional intimacy. It is a crisis. And one of the greatest ways you can love each other is by coming together, renewing your covenant, which is sex is spiritual before it's anything else. It's the picture of two becoming one and ministering to one another. It is a blessing from God, and it's a way you serve one another. Okay, ladies, what you need to realize is that if he's not getting his sexual needs met, he has no other legitimate option but you. Everything else is sinful. You are his only legitimate outlet for sexual fulfillment. And one of the greatest things you can do for each other is to engage in frequent and creative and spiritual lovemaking. It is a gift, it is honoring to God, and it renews the covenant. Now, what some of you are going to say, but he's a jerk, and I don't like him, and I don't like you for telling me to have sex with him, or whatever. And listen to me. I understand that. Feelings follow actions. You start doing what you once did, and you'll get what you once had. What are we going to do? If you want what you once had, do what you once did. You got married because you had fun. Start having fun again.
All right, well, welcome back. I really love Craig's teaching on this topic, like having fun, the three ways, face-to-face, side-to-side, and belly button to belly button. Yes. It's really important, and I think it's important for us to understand as couples that like having fun is not like an optional thing. It's not like something that if we have time or, if we just get around to doing it.
Yes, and I think sometimes it can become last on the list. When you have kids, when you have work, it can become, you feel like a luxury, but it really is important. Just as important as seeking God and learning to fight fair is having fun.
Yeah, and you just got to do it.
That's right.
Like literally do it.
Yes.
But and because if we don't have fun, what tends to happen with us is it's like you're in this business transaction. You're going to work and you're going to school, picking up the kids, and it's just no fun. So you need to make it a priority, put it on the calendar, and make sure that you're being intentional about spending time with each other and having fun with each other. So here's the deal. We want you to talk it over. And now that we've kind of laid out a few things, we want you to talk about and evaluate really the state of fun or how much you're having fun together as a couple now. So go ahead and talk it over. I'm sure you had some really good discussion with that talking over question. Really just talking about the level of fun that you're having in your relationship.
Yes, we're having a lot of fun. I'd say a level 10.
I'm thinking like level 56.
All right,
Like
then.
way up there.
Well, we have Dr. Kim with us, and I think we should get his expert advice. Dr. Kim, just as a woman, I love when my husband and I, when we go out to dinner, he always wants to sit beside me, but I really like when he sits across from me and I can look at him. Can you talk to us about the importance of face-to-face time?
I think it is, and I think it's really important to our wives. Wives are relational, they like to communicate, and their first choice of communication is us. And so the face-to-face puts us in that position where we can look at each other, we can focus on each other, and I think that really affirms a wife and encourages her. And so that's a really important part of just that interaction. I think that's why that's so important to our wives.
Yes.
The other thing I think that's important when we're communicating with our wives, of all the people in the world, there's only one person that can affirm our wives as her significance, and that's the husband. And so we need to be the one that's telling our wives how important she is and how much we appreciate her and how she's taken our home and our house and made it into a home, just those kind of things. And the other thing I think is really important for us to do as husbands, I need to be the one that's telling Nancy that she's beautiful and that she's pretty and that she's sexy. Because in the culture we live in, if I don't do it, somebody else is. And if I'm doing it, it doesn't matter who else does it, because she wants to hear it from me. And that's why it's really important. So the face-to-face is something that's important to our wives, and as husbands, we just need to do that.
Right.
Yeah, that's really good for me to hear. Just to know that I need to be the one setting the tone, telling you how beautiful
Calling me
you are.
sexy.
You are sexy and beautiful. And but that's true, Dr. Kim. I need to be the one really leading that. We're called to be the spiritual leaders in our household, and so, man, that's just really good words. I remember when we were first dating and first together, Shelby did something for me that was, man, it was just really, really good. She used to come watch me play basketball. She wasn't playing basketball, but she used to come watch me play basketball.
Actually, I do have a good three-pointer.
You do have a good three-pointer. But in that aspect, I felt like she was by my side, and that was really good side-to-side time. So explain to us why it's so important to have side-to-side time.
I think we want our wives to be our companions. You know, and we see teams, see Batman and Robin, we see things like that. Well, not that our wife is our Robin, but we want her beside us. We want her to do things with us. We enjoy doing things with us. I want Nancy, she's my first choice to spend time with and do things with, and we're more comfortable like that. I heard one time years ago when they were designing pubs that they made the bar in a straight line, because men like to stand shoulder to shoulder. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. So we want our wives by our side. We also want them to admire us. You know, we need to hear that from them. They're the ones who can tell us, you're a good husband, I like this about you. If you do something well, that she's the one that you're gonna look for to affirm you in that. You know, I thought if all the people in the world were lined up and all of them had something to say to me that would affirm me, I'd find Nancy. Because when she affirms me, when she says something, it means something greater than anything anybody else can say.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's almost like this spiritual thing that happens when she tells me I did a good job or a pat on the back. And just like you said, Dr. Kim, everybody else can say, man, really great. But when she says, Michael, man, that's a good job, it's just something that happens to me. It's
And you're
really
doing a
good.
good job, sweetie.
It makes a difference. Absolutely. We want to hear that from our spouse. One thing I wanted to kind of add in this too, because it gets into the sexual relation just a little bit, but I think as men, we get painted as this sexual time bomb walking around ready to explode all the time. And I think what I hear from guys, we want our wives' affirmation in the sexual relationship. We want to know if they're drawn to us because of how we perform sexually, and do I give my wife pleasure? And if our wives are able to say yes at that, I mean, that's a home run for us. That's an affirmation, and that is the most important thing, I think, for us as guys in the sexual relationship. And a lot of times we don't realize that, and certainly I don't think our culture certainly doesn't tell us that.
Yeah.
And Dr. Kim, I know a healthy sex life is so important to a good relationship. So what information could you give us on just having a healthy sex life?
Well, I think we take it a step at a time. I think if the face-to-face is good and the side-by-side is good, then you're kind of laying the groundwork for the belly-to-belly to be good. And I think what happens in our culture, I mean, we think we're the most sexually liberated culture there is, and yet more people are not satisfied with their sexual relationships. And I believe the best sex ever ever is in the context of a Christian marriage. I think that's the way God designed it. And so I think, but we as Christians too can struggle with that. We can rush sex. We can say, okay, we're going to watch the news, weather, and sports at 10 o'clock, and we've got so many minutes till the late night talk show starts, and so let's go for it, baby. And then maybe we park the kids in front of the TV and we put a DVD in and we say, we got 22 minutes, let's go. Well, those are okay, and Nancy and I done those things when our kids are growing up especially, but we need to set aside time to really enjoy each other. We need time to enjoy the sexual relationship where we can do massage, where we can rub each other's back, where we can take a bath together, a shower together, where we can light candles, where we can have soft music, maybe a fire in the fireplace, something that's really gonna just enhance that relationship and give us a chance to really grow in that and talk about, what do we want to do in this relationship, in the sexual area. And so I think that's really important. So sex needs to be fun. I think that in a Christian marriage, we have the physical, we have the emotional, but I think something can happen in the spiritual in a Christian relationship and sex that doesn't happen anywhere else. There's a Hebrew word called dod, and that word means a mingling of souls. And I think that's the deep spiritual connection that we can have as Christians in our sexual relationship, and that's why I firmly believe that the best sex ever is in the context of a Christian marriage.
Absolutely.
So what I hear you saying is that we really need to be intentional and take our time when it comes to our sex life.
Absolutely.
Really great information. Thanks for sharing, Dr. Kim.
Yeah, thanks.
I just really appreciate his insight and his wisdom. It's really, really good.
I do too, and I love to have fun.
Totally love to have fun. As we're wrapping up, I just want to encourage you guys to make sure that you're having fun in those three ways: face to face, side to side, and belly button to belly button. It's going to be really good. So make sure to put some of those things in practice. And check this out. Here's the deal. This week, we've got an activity for you. Wait for it. It is Plan a Date Night. Plan a date night. And guys, listen, I want you to plan a good date night. Don't be going out and planning no old janky date night. I want you to put some thought into it, some time into it. Do something different. Do something that you haven't done. Don't go through the old same having a movie, that kind of deal.
Yes. We've went to the gun range.
Yeah.
We have went bungee jumping. That
Lot
was
of
fun.
fun.
It was fun. You were scared.
I was terrified, but it was a lot of fun. And so as we wrap up talking about having fun, go ahead, plan your date night, get into your marriage boosters. It's going to be a lot of fun. And on our next session, we're going to be talking about staying pure. So we'll see you next time on From This Day Forward.